Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's Reborn.com with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's a Full Force Weekly.
Yes, coming to you live and direct right on the time, always on time, always ready to go. Don't know what happened there. The system that we use basically was saying there was an unexplained high volume of traffic and wouldn't let us go live. So no matter what I tried, it wasn't working. So we gave it a little while and it's just worked. So not our fault. Please don't chastise us for this one. How are you doing, Pat, other than being extraordinarily late this morning?
I'm extraordinarily busy, so I can't stay entirely late today. So hopefully we have time for everything.
Yeah, let's squeeze it all in. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well in the comments. Again, sorry about that, guys. Sorry for the late start. We're getting on it now, though, so let's do it. We'll start off with Chris's Comics Corner, or not really, but I mean, there's other stuff we can talk about. But yeah, it's comics time. So many updates, it's hard to put your hat on. We have got lots to talk about today with the comics section, so I'll try and get through it reasonably rapidly. We'll start with what has got to be the most ridiculous. This isn't even the latest stretch goal image. This is for the Kickstarter, the Compendium Kickstarter for the Skybound Real American Hero Marvel reprints. My goodness, Pat. We're at like what 2,210,000, I think, at the moment. When we started, or when we got together and started talking this morning, it was about 10 grand less than that. It's already gone up 10 grand in the time it took us to go live.
Yeah, maybe that's what all the traffic was today. It was just the entire internet was buying the G.I. Joe Compendium.
I think it is, honestly. Unreal, absolutely unreal. Yeah, like I said, currently as we stand, it is at $2,209,831. That is 6,164 backers. You know, like when we talk about sometimes with like niche products that you have like an audience, right? This is your audience, for example, right? Then you put a product out and the percentage of that audience that will buy that product minimizes. So it's not everyone buying it. It's like it's more like this at the end of the day. And then there may be something else, you know, another factor that minimizes that, like price, for example. Like the people that want to buy it are like here. The price may minimize it further. And the availability may minimize it. So you're like really looking at like this amount of the audience getting in on this. This seems like much larger percentage of the audience are getting in on this. And what the funny thing is, we were speaking about this earlier. We know so many people that aren't buying this. So what's going on?
Yeah, it feels like a lot of my like longtime G.I. Joe buddies are like, I don't think I'm going to get it because they already have them in one form or another.
Right.
And so it's just like, well, the guys that I know for a long time aren't buying this. Who is? And I think it's just indicative of the G.I. Joe audience is actually a lot larger. I mean, the thing that we've talked about for years is how G.I. Joe's kind of failed to grab on to a younger audience. But I have to say, it definitely seems like in the last 5 years that audience has finally emerged. Now, obviously, it's going to be dudes about our age that are, you know, probably the biggest demographic of G.I. Joe still. But, you know, it seems like it's finally broken through. Like we finally got some new G.I. Joe fans, and it's great.
There's definitely an element, I think, of fans becoming more like bigger fans as well within that fandom. So like the more casuals may have come over a little bit, especially with like Classified, for example. I think there's a big 6-inch kind of audience that's probably joined the G.I. Joe brand, because I do see that a lot of people in the comments, and I see it like multiple times during streams. People say Classified was my, you know, jumping on point, or Classified got me back into it from like as a kid. So they've been kind of unaware of the GI Joe landscape between the vintage era and now, basically, which always, you know, surprises me or blows my mind. But again, you don't know what people's situations are. There could be all sorts of different things why they're not into that stuff at that point. But there's definitely, yeah, I think there's a younger audience in there. I think there's a casual fan base that is kind of definitely more proactive, and I think there's new fans of like our age who have just not really been about for the period that we've been talking about, and it just seems to be absolutely, I mean, I'm blown away at the fact that the Marvel reprints, effectively, is what we're talking about here, are getting so much love. And could that be a case, again, like, you know, we talk about the new audience, Pat, do you think that could be a case of them wanting to find out more about the history of the brand as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that everybody kind of views this as an opportunity because the price that they've put this out for, and I mean, that's kind of maybe a lesson to the entire world. The price that they've put it out for is something that I think it's a good deal. And I think that a lot of people view it as an opportunity if you've missed out on all of the various books. Plus, it's not just the price, but it's also the hassle.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, even buying GI Joe in the form of an omnibus, are they going to finish? Are they going to get all of them done? It's just, and then you have to keep looking at them each month, and then you have this amount of money that's if you buy the first one, how much is the last one going to cost by the time they get done? And it's none of that. It's just, here's the price, you're going to get the whole thing. And I think there's a huge convenience in just buying it all at once. It's all going to look consistent. You don't have to worry about them changing the format halfway through.
Yeah.
It's just, this is a good thing all around. I do think that I've seen some of the younger audience who's said that they grew up with the 25th figures, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you figure if you were a kid and you actually did play with the 25th figures in like 2007 through 2009, you know, and so you did have those characters whenever you were younger. You're probably always aware that this stuff was out there, but this is like your first opportunity to buy it all at one go.
Absolutely. It also upsets me that there are now, like, when you gave the timeline there of like there are kids that were into 25th and now they're like, oh my god, has it been that long? Seriously. Amazing. Yeah. Jedi Ben says it's just a great time or renaissance for Joes right now. It really feels that way. Past says, I couldn't afford the hobby and life post 2006-ish. Classified and digging through boxes during COVID brought me back. Again, that there's a situation there that was probably similar for a lot of people. So yeah, appreciate that, Pass. Jedi Ben says there's also a need for good comic content, even if it's older runs. The one-stop shop is key. I agree with that. I think what Pat said nailed it with the availability in one go and just done. Chris G says all those new 25th figures are kids that McLeod handed them out to. That's so true. I did tell a story recently on one of the news bursts that my friend Ian came around with his son once when I was living in Norfolk in the UK, and I was at the time I was doing a video for In Demand Toys. I was doing a review on it was the Dreadnought battle set, you know, the Road Pig, Zanzibar, Nor, all that crew, Burnout, and I had that one, and I had the what was the other one I had? What was the other one at that time? Oh, the Marauders. So it was the Slaughter's Marauders set, and it was the Dreadnought battle set, and I had those. I was doing like the video for them, and I had an extra set of each because I would always do that with In Demand. I would buy one and have one to open, have one to do reviews with. And effectively, so basically they came around and I just gave him the set, and he loved it, and he was playing with it for ages. And Ian would always tell me, like, he said, oh, he bloody loves that thing, like he's been playing with those figures like ever since you gave them to him. And so I was really happy about that. I was like, cool, hopefully I've brought a young GI Joe fan into the brand. Yeah, but I think that's what Chris was referring to. Comic Book Bin says, I had the digital collection from IDW. That's why I'm not buying this set. It was way cheaper too and more versatile being digital. Again, that's a good reason why you're not getting it. And I know a lot of people that aren't jumping on this because of multiple different reasons, just because of like we said before, like the maybe it's not something that they can afford right now, but it also could be a case of like having all of them already and not really not needing to.
Yeah, in one form or another. I mean, that means that he was another person that was around already and already managed to get all of them. So yeah, it kind of holds in with maybe G.I. Joe's audience is actually broadened. And honestly, G.I. Joe's a comic. Like if you look at the 1980s, that's a great era for comics.
Yep.
And G.I. Joe was one of the standout comics for Marvel. Like it was one of their big titles. And so I think that just some people who are fans of comics in general may actually go, oh, this is an opportunity to get a major comic book. I do think that this could be the start of some other large compendiums from various comic book companies. They may look at this and go, oh, what was the pattern that worked here? You know, is there a run? Could you do like the Claremont X-Men as a big compendium set?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at this and going, we need to capitalize on this. Like, I think Hasbro are probably looking at this, like, how do we work this to our advantage, even though it's kind of already working to their advantage? I feel like there are going to be other companies that go, okay, looks like this is an opportunity to get some vintage runs out in a way that, that allow people to have it one-stop shop sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely. And I think this could definitely work with a lot of like X-Men runs and Wolverine, and Spider-Man for sure. And then you look on the DC, will probably be looking at this as well. I can imagine them like wanting to get some Batman stuff in kind of compendium form. And like the other thing is, I imagine I'm not in the scene that type, but I know there have been a lot of compendiums of those runs anyway. But in this sense, like I feel like this kind of like doing it as a Kickstarter, doing it to see what like new fans might be interested and stuff like that. I think absolutely right. Yeah, on that one.
Do you think this could mean a second G.I. Joe one as well? Because we could get all the Hama stuff from IDW as a compendium.
I would be surprised if they don't think we should do this again. if they're not thinking we should do this again
tomorrow.
We should drop this next week. Sergeant Rocks as a figure 6-pack. That would be kind of cool. Pastor Pro said, I'd kickstart a vinyl set of Sunbow and Deke music. Oh, definitely. Well, we've got the vinyl, which is wonderful, by the way. I love that vinyl. That was the first release in ever, I think, of that music. I don't think we've had it released other than bootlegs before that. So 100% down. And it's on streaming services as well now, the G.I. Joe music. But the Deke music, that needs to get done for sure. Because we were watching a couple of episodes for Operation Armor. Adam and I were watching the Eco Warriors episodes, and some of the music in that, we were like, man, this is a banger. Some like incidental background music. It's like, we need that too. So cool. All right. Well, that is the Kickstarter. Long may it continue. Currently at 209,831. 11 days to go. I think they're going to make it, Pat. We also got some solicitations for September. We have A Real American Hero Volume 1 as a trade paperback with a couple of different covers there. And we have A Real American Hero 310, which has got some interesting covers there, including a Battle Armor Cobra Commander appearance. So I wonder if this will be like... this always happens, and I've noticed this a lot more, Pat. I'm not sure if you're noticing this. As soon as a character appears, even on an unrelated thing, like a media thing or whatever, like this, A Real American Hero is technically unrelated for what I'm about to say, but people will instantly go, oh, that means we're getting classified Battle Armor Cobra Commander. And it's like every single time. I mean, I get it with the Energon universe, but when it comes to this makes me laugh, because I did see a few comments where people like Battle Armor Cobra Commander confirmed. Anyway, you're not reading the Real American Hero series yet, are you? Because it's like a million.
No, I'm still too far behind. I'm getting behind on the other title now too. On the new Skybound universe, the Energon stuff. But
you're going to need that compendium of IDW issues, aren't you?
I would love if they did a compendium of the Hama issues from IDW. I would absolutely love that.
Passes Retro Zartan confirmed. Too late. We've already had him. If they do another Zartan that is the same design, I'll be like, guys, why are we doing Zartans again? Like Ninja Force, yes, 100%. But yeah, hilarious stuff. Anyway, that's the Real American Hero listings. You guys can see the images on our Facebook page. I'm not going to go into any of the spoilers that are on screen because there might be a few. I'm not going to read any of those. I should have blurred them out, but it's not. I don't think anyone can actually see them. And if you don't look for them, you won't see it. So it's all good. We have Destro again, 4 of 5 as well here, with a blacked out character on one of the covers. So again, very interesting. I assume when they do that, because obviously the only time they've done it so far is with Nemesis Immortal, and we'll be getting onto that a little bit later on. But Nemesis Immortal, they use the figure design in the comic. They've said that. Josh Williamson said that. So I wonder if this is where I would say speculation can run rife as a possible classified sort of character, maybe on the cover of Destro there. So yeah, that's we'll find out eventually, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see for the actual cover when it comes out, or when someone leaks the artwork by accident. We also have Scarlet issue 4 of 5 as well there too. Shout out to Talking Joe. They will be getting a shout out in the shout out section, but they just interviewed Kelly Thompson, the writer for Scarlet, and it's really good. Go check it out on their YouTube channel right now. Link in the description. Also, we got some. Now, this blows my mind. Not only have we got cool art here, obviously it's amazing artwork, but we are on the 4th printing of Cobra Commander issue 1, Pat. The 4th reprint of this comic. This is a variant cover as well that goes along with it. The success of the comics right now is something that is just blowing my mind in a very positive and happy way, I must say. How do you feel about this?
The comic shop that I went to that I've picked up the issues, or at least most of them, picked them up at a couple places. But he was just saying how he didn't really expect all this and that it came as a surprise.
Yeah.
And, you know, he keeps on getting it in. I'm sure that all the comic shop owners are thankful for how the Energon universe is being done. But honestly, all told, like, Skybound's made a lot of good moves.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, they took their time, figured it out, and had like a kind of a marketing plan, as well as like you know, the way that they're hyping up. We haven't gotten G.I. Joe #1.
Right.
You know, what's going to happen whenever that hits?
Yeah, exactly. It's all miniseries. It's all miniseries. Exactly. I mean,
yeah.
When they finally get to that G.I. Joe #1 sort of situation, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Think of all the variant covers for that one, eh?
Oh, yeah.
I reckon I was going to say, I bet they'll try and get the record for variant cover releases, which I don't know what the record is. It's probably
each comic shop is good in the United States is going to have their own covers. What it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, doesn't it? It's like, yeah. But it's, yeah, again, I couldn't be happier, honestly. I am so happy, not just for the success of the comics, but the quality of the content, the artwork, phenomenal. The writing, absolutely brilliant. Like, I am just so happy with every issue I read. Scarlet was so good I mean, it's just keep them coming is what I'm saying. And also, I love the fact that we get these miniseries staggered, because it feels like we're getting comics on a regular basis. Whereas before, it would be like, here's issue 350, whatever. And then the next one is about 4 months' time, you'll get that one. And it's like, I was just like getting very annoyed at the cadence and the rhythm of releases with IDW. And going into Skybound, I just expected the similar thing. I just expected it to be like, oh, well, that issue they're promoting at the moment is so far in the future, I don't really care at the moment. And then it's like, oh, it's here already. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is amazing. So I love the release rhythm is phenomenal. Like I said, the writing, the quality of the content is so good. All the covers, I mean, so many different covers to choose from. I've had you know, people in comic stores who I've been talking to about getting issues and stuff say, which cover do you want? because we effectively can get pretty much most of them. So the availability is really good. Some are a bit rarer than others, obviously.
Right.
But like, you know, you get like a nice choice, and it's not just like, this is what you're getting because this is what we've got sort of thing, which was another problem of IDW before.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the way that they've handled this, you know, also lends toward a lot of confidence in that Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You know, hey, oh, they're doing this. Oh, it's going to be quality, and it's going to deliver, and it's going to be probably on time.
Yep. Sign me up. It's going to have gilded edges. It's going to have 1,000 prints.
Right.
It's going to have 3,420 trading cards. It's like this feels like the those classic kind of Kickstarters. Like if you remember, like the Boss Fight Studio Kickstarter from back in the day, the first one, it was like it was doing so well they just had to keep creating stretch goals for it.
Yeah,
this feels like that, and it feels like they're like scrambling and going, okay, we better do another 3 stretch goals this time. And yeah, they've kind of learned their lesson on the first 55 stretch goals they released, I think. But yeah, anyway, amazing stuff. We also have variant covers for Void Rivals as well. I'll put this one on there because it is it's just really cool to look at. Obviously, 2 different versions, the black and white sketch version and the colorized version. And in there, I think you can make out Shockwave there on the left-hand side. Yeah, I think that is Shockwave sneakily in there. But it's, again, a beautiful, beautiful kind of cover and very, very awesome. Is that Unicron in the background as well? That giant head?
I'm not sure. Is that
It might be something Void Rivals related, but I haven't read that issue yet.
I think I see Skuxoid and some.
Yeah, Skuxoid's in there, yeah. Yeah, the Quintessons are in there, you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but again, nice little cover. I like it. I do have the information of as who did the covers, but I'm just being lazy and rushing. Let me quickly deal with that because I don't want to.
You don't want to leave that information out.
Yeah,
feel bad later.
Exactly. It was. I think it was post. Yeah, here we go. So all the information is that Cobra Commander, the 4th printing. Is a cover by Miko Swayan and Romulo Fajardo Jr. Duke 3 3rd printing is a cover by Victor Bogdanovich. Again, I didn't really talk about that one, but that's gorgeous, isn't it? Like the kind of like the kind of scene in the background, like the kind of like, I don't know, like the kind of dust or the smoke or that kind of stuff. And I believe that's Baroness. Just looking really cool with the sniper rifle. Just looks great. I love that one. Beautiful. And the Void Rivals, it's a #1. That is, get this, Pat. This is the 9th printing of Void Rivals 1. It's a connecting cover A by Filia Bratukin and Rex Locus, and of course the other one is it's the black and white connecting cover version. Just amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. And those are the covers basically for those who did the covers. Now this is another story, Pat, that I wanted to talk to you about. I was really excited actually to talk to you about it because obviously articulated points. You have covered the G.I. Joe manga series, have you not? In your articulated points?
We have, yes. I was looking through just to see what the names of the episodes were. We covered it twice because there was one moment where we just kind of did an overview of the issues that we had at the time, and then a year ago for Cobra Convergence 6, what Philip and I did was we talked about 2 of the exclusive characters that appear in the G.I. Joe manga series, and we made customs of those. So if you look at articulated points, unfortunately, if you search manga, it doesn't show up. But if you search for Cobra Convergence 6, then you can find the episode. And we basically showed some of the characters that were in there, including Gaia and Bomber Jack, I think.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, or the two Cobras that are exclusive to the manga. And yeah, I would like more people to be aware that this exists out there and to support it. I'd love to see it revisited in some official capacity.
Yeah, should we get on to Skybound for this one? Because I think this is
we should.
This will be the next Kickstarter. It'll be this
right
compendium.
There's not nearly that much of it. I don't think there's $300 worth of G.I. Joe manga available.
True. But yeah, and again, this is really cool. It was let me get the information correct again. It was translated by, or at least posted. Sorry, I'll say the original poster on Twitter, or X as we call it now. But it was Necronometron that posted this. And they said the Kaibunsha G.I. Joe Encyclopedia was a resource devoted mostly to the cartoon and had no direct connection to the comic Bonbon manga. The simply written short comic included could be generously described as an origin story, which wasn't really touched on in the show. And then it's translated 1986 Kaibunsha G.I. Joe Encyclopedia manga, The Origin of G.I. Joe by Ryo Nakamura. And of course, you have to read it from right to left, as again, I'm only saying that for people that may not be aware of how these issues are presented, but that's the way that they are read. So just go from right to left. I'm not going to read the whole thing out, but it's really cool. And I've got to say, Pat, you didn't introduce me to the manga, but you introduced me to the information and more depth and more knowledge about it. Previously, I was aware of it, never read it, only saw it in a few kind of situations. I want to say I think I saw it when I was at one of the Joe Cons, or maybe even Joe Fest at the Declassified booth. I think there was some manga like on show, but I don't even think it was available to flick through. I believe it was like under a glass cabinet, I think, when I saw it. I might be wrong about that, but I don't remember reading it or looking at it other than seeing it. So it was really cool to get that extra information. So by the way, go check out those articulated points episodes just to get a bit more information on it. But seeing it like, in more detail like this with the artwork, I think it looks amazing. They did some amazing things with manga, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of great character moments, some designs that you wouldn't see, that you would think that you wouldn't see. But it's just fun to see a different artwork and to know that this is a vintage G.I. Joe. Like, this is something from back in the day. And yeah, like the fact that there's the USS flag there appearing in Japan. That to me is cool, how much stuff of G.I. Joe was around the world. I love seeing that stuff. And yeah, Philip had actually kind of made me dig deeper on all of this. So that's another thing, like I've said before, that doing articulated points with him has been a lot of fun because it's made me explore some things a little bit deeper. And this is definitely one of those things.
I'm glad you did, because I don't think I ever would have gotten around to, getting the detail, because this thing takes research, doesn't it? Like, and if someone hasn't done that research previously, or you don't know of it, or you can't find it, it's very difficult to find like the proper information. So again, like, you're kind of looking for people to help you out with those kind of things. And obviously you guys 100% helped me learn a little bit more about the manga. So and this is really cool. And again, like seeing it and being able to kind of like read it and everything makes it even more cool. So I think, I would love to see, I've got to say, I would love to see an official release of not just a manga, but like the 3D comics that had original stories in them. Anything that had like an original story, I know obviously offhand we're getting the Battle Action Force comics compendiums very soon, the deluxe treasury editions. That's amazing. But then also, I want to see the Marvel UK Action Force monthly and weeklies kind of put into like an official release as well. I think that
were European missions here, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and those aren't in the Skybound Kickstarter.
They are not, unfortunately. Should we complain about that? Should we get that as a...
No, I think that they're including quite a lot. But
I'm going to be like, guys,
it would be nice if they did. I mean, how many... They could probably do that as like an omnibus or something like that.
Definitely.
I would think.
You could get like... Well, you've got 50 issues of the weekly, right? So
okay,
that would be quite, substantial. But the monthly, that is 15 issues, I think.
And the page count on these was never nearly as much as a comic in the United States, was it?
No, they were shorter.
Because they were weekly. And
the weeklies were bigger as well. They were kind of like a slightly bigger kind of scale size almost.
Yeah.
And the monthlies were the more kind of classic American comic size, which were European missions, the monthly.
Yeah, I mean, I only really am familiar with the difference in size based on reading the Transformers weekly issues.
Right.
And those are nice because they don't take as long to read. So if I'm busy doing something, it's not that like there's a lot of stopping points.
Right.
You know, I can read 2 or 3 issues or just one if something comes up.
Yeah, Ed says 5 to 10 pages of new content per weekly issue, 10 pages only a few times. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sorry, just talking about going through the manga. We were talking there about the Transformers comic as well, which I believe, I'm not sure if it's next up on the things, but we are talking about that. Yeah, there it is. There you go. Perfect segue, Pat. The Transformers comic. Now, Sixo had the absolute pleasure, and if you don't follow Sixo, you need to, especially if you're a Transformers fan. Sixo has amazing content on his socials, including an amazing YouTube channel and his photography is amazing. Like he pretty much came into the game with the photography stuff and was taking beautiful pictures of the action figures, of the Transformers figures, and then got into the YouTube kind of game and has just blown up, and he's amazing. So yeah, really happy for Sixo, and he got this amazing exclusive to reveal to everybody. Pat, how cool is this, bud?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. Like, I've wanted an Emirate Zeran. I mean, at a certain point, reading the Transformers comics as a kid, I was aware. I think the letters page even explained it.
Yeah,
that that there had been in between issues that were printed in the UK that we didn't see in the United States.
Right.
And then at a point, the UK writers started writing the American monthly comic as well, Simon Furman. So you ended up with some of the characters appearing who had appeared already in the UK, like Emirate Zeran, when he showed up in the United States. I was like, well, who's this? And it had that feeling of stuff that had a backstory that I was unaware of.
Yeah.
So I was dying to read those issues as a kid, and have since been able to read here and there. I have like my read through that I'm not done with yet. But it's really cool that they're doing this. I've been waiting on this figure for a long time. Of course, I bought the figure that I needed to make a custom of this, because I think David Willis posted, Philip linked me to it. He had posted a reuse of the gold Perceptor as Emirate Zeran. And I was like, what am I going to use for a head? And it's like, well, now I could just use the actual figure if I still wanted to make that custom. That's
easiest custom work ever. You just, I bought all the parts and they're already combined and painted.
Yeah, well, right. But that's how it works when you buy the parts to make a custom, or you put in the hours to do the custom.
Yeah.
Then a real one finally comes out after 40 years.
You have to be more like, your Ray Murphys, your Jim Godfreys, who like, they literally, it's like, Bosch, you've made a custom, it's phenomenal, and it's like 17 months before you see the figure. Do you know what I mean? Like you get your money out of it, you get your worth out of it. But yeah, for people like us who are like dabble in the customs every now and again, that's where we get screwed, because we take ages. I'm the same. Like I'm going to do this version of whatever. I'm going to do like a little figure, and then 4 minutes later, it's out on Pulse already. And you're like, son of a bee. But anyway, yeah, this is really cool. And obviously the Action Force logo on there as well. The fact that we've got a Transformers and Action Force comic cover on a friggin' it's just blowing my mind, man. It's blowing my mind. I love the UK love. I love the kind of I love what they're doing here. I think it's a great idea, and I hope this opens the door a little bit for more of that kind of stuff, more little kind of comic related, UK especially, but all just foreign comic related homage, where they actually just plop the blooming cover on as well.
Yeah, for sure. I would like this to sell so well that they look at it and finally do some of that some of the stuff that was UK G.I. Joe, the stuff that we've been talking about.
Definitely. Ed has asked, Pat, you might know the answer to this. Zarin is a repaint of who? Pretender Skullgrin? ? I haven't paid enough attention to the Legacy line this year.
You know what? If you'll go ahead and skip to the next image, I was actually confused really badly by what mold this was, but it's because the Photoshop here kind of, which Sixo seems to have been sent, of course.
Yeah, he's been sent. He hasn't done this.
Kind of made the Zarin figure a little larger than he is compared to the Flame figure. It's actually Reflector.
Right.
It's a retool of Reflector. So it's a little bit weird. They've definitely retooled it quite a bit to make him into like this tank thing instead of a spaceship. Because Reflector, of course, you needed to buy 3 of them to turn into a camera.
Right.
And Zarin turns into a single tank. And in Reflector, if you just bought one, there was like a spaceship mode. So
the classic in-between mode that isn't really a mode, but they say there's a mode.
yeah, like you don't have to buy 3 of these, but really you did.
Yeah, you kind of do, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that answers that question for you. Thank you, Pat. We also got here's a shot of it in the actual physical thing in hand as well. So I need this, man. I need this just for that cover. It's so awesome, so awesome. And here's the shot of, there you go. There's a better shot of the scale with the 2 figures. So yeah, that Photoshop does not tell you the full story, does it?
No. No, it does not.
It's like almost.
I've listened to this picture a lot. What?
It's like half his size almost. Like he's a pair of shoes away from being half the size of Flame there. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not nearly as close as that Photoshop would lead you to believe. I think maybe they had somebody new doing some of the Photoshops of some of these figures recently.
Definitely. That was that one I pointed out the other day, the GoBots Photoshop, which had most of Pathfinder's face missing because they'd obviously done like a select to remove the white around the figure. And it obviously there was a bit of flash or shine on the head and it just took that section out as well, but they didn't change it. Anyway, amazing stuff. Ed says, thanks, Pat. He's a keeper. Love this set. Yeah, indeed. Right then. I think there's one last thing to talk about, I believe, and that is that the pre-order for the Battle Action Force Deluxe Treasury Editions is coming very soon. Keep an eye on the internet, skies, because it is coming very soon. I can't tell you exactly when, but I can say that it is just around the corner. So very excited for that. In fact, Brian and Paddy have been out and about showing the kind of mock-ups of these editions on their travels. There's some images on the old on our Facebook page, so you can go check that out. The intern is going to hate this channel, says Pass. Yeah, because I've just called out the Photoshop fail big time. Anyway, yeah, so massive shout out to Brian and Total Toy Books for this, this wonderful deluxe treasury edition opportunity. I cannot wait for these to go up. I'll be jumping on this minute 1, no doubt. Yes, so there you go. Right, that's it. Let's move on then, guys. We've got a few little bits of classified to get through before we talk Dragonfly. So let's do that, Pat. The video isn't working. Don't know what happened there. I pressed the video. Nothing happened. It clearly had been clicked. There was a delay. I'm telling you, man. I think they're just having trouble with traffic today. I think that's what it is. And there's just hanging out going, okay, next video, why is it not playing? All right, okay, we got Nemesis Immortal parts being leaked left, right, and center again, Pat. So this week we saw, we got the information from the Comics Pals YouTube channel that said that they were utilizing their design of Nemesis Immortal from the classified figure, which obviously hasn't been revealed yet, but that's what they were basing their their images in their comic on. So it's very likely we're going to see something like this, which I've got to tell you, I'm actually stoked about, because this is one phenomenal looking design. Now, on top of that, we got a bunch of leaks. Obviously, we've got the heads that have been leaked already. So just to give us a refresher of what those look like, we have the more crustacean vibe on the left, the Klingon vibe, and then we have the more kind of snake textured, smoother vibe on the right, the one that we're more familiar with, I would say, with Nemesis Enforcer in the past. So, Pat, here are the other parts we got a look at. And it looks like we're finally getting a bendable version of what I think we've talked about in the past, of the kind of the G.I. Joe trap, basically.
Yeah, if it is a G.I. Joe trap, I'm still thinking that it's just alternate other wings. In my mind, the thing to do here is to use one head with these as Nemesis Immortal and use the other head with the other wings as Nemesis Enforcer. So buy two.
Do you still think that is the alternate wings from back in the day? Because I mean, the more I
You
look
must have
at
missed
it,
the conversation that Adam and I were having the other night. It for sure is. If you look at Dan Klingesmith's books,
yes,
he has a pre-production image, like a concept image of Nemesis Enforcer.
yeah,
and Nemesis Enforcer just has these kind of as
yeah.
wings.
Yeah.
So it seems like they either were in love with that and thought to just include it, or maybe it is possible that those were seen as a kind of dual purpose thing that could be used as an entrapment kind of thing. But yeah, I think that it's meant to be like another, not necessarily wings, but another backpack thing that can be worn by him that has consequences for G.I. Joe.
I'd love to see them flapping to get him off the ground.
Yeah. Maybe they're for swimming.
Or Doc Octopus style, like Doc Ock style, like kind of like clip grabbing onto stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Like he's walking around, like
Again,
that's how Doc Ock walks.
I'm partial to the name Nemesis Enforcer.
Yes.
Since Nemesis Immortal now is going to exist twice, just buy two figures and have both.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. I think people probably will be doing that actually. I might actually be doing that. Sorry, what people saying it's his pet, says RKW. That's gross, isn't it?
Well, kind of is. On the 25th one, I thought that was really cool. They gave it a little face.
Yeah, it's got like I think we have
the wings
not just
have
the 25th one,
as well, as if it's a little creature that he partners with.
But yeah, I always saw it as a creature, obviously, but I saw it as something that would connect to, it would attach itself to its victim and then wrap around and trap it. And that's what I felt was the kind of like intention. They didn't really go forward with it from what I could see, because of the not complexity, but maybe the cost of making them bendy as opposed to just, flayed out sort of thing. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think obviously they are an alternate section thing for Nemesis Immortal Enforcer, because we see the backpack peg, we see them on the figure in multiple different ways. The presentation art, which I have seen, absolutely, and I mean, I'm not sure how much you could really go by a catalog image being canon, but because it could just be that it was a mistake, it mistakenly put on there. But I don't necessarily think so. The more we talk about it, because I feel like the opportunity is there for that figure to have it attached to its back, and it comes with him, literally behind him on the card as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So yeah, totally agree with you on that one. Brian Hickey says, "Afternoon, gents. Love that Nemesis Enforcer design is the new Skybound comics. Will make a great figure." Hello, Brian. How you doing, buddy? We've already shouted you out, so give it a rest, eh? Blooming Captain shout outs over here. Rachel says everyone needs a hug from time to time.
Yeah, she was just also asking about the brackets on the back of the legs. That's definitely where they are held in place, and then the rest of the leg is injection molded on top of that.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with
haven't been broken off yet.
Yeah, you won't see that on the final figure, as Pat mentioned. Yeah, it's just that structural support for when they're being injection molded. So yeah, cool. So we got the legs are really nice as well, actually, because you've got like interesting thigh kind of spikes on there. That's a nice touch, and like the kind of almost like not scales, but like armored calves, where you've got like the cuts in the calves sort of thing. Is kind of like a nice touch as well. I think there's a lot of really cool details on just the legs, because we don't really have much to go on other than those.
Yeah, I really want to see the elbow spikes, how those are handled.
Hell yes. For anyone wondering about what those discs are as well, that's part of the butterfly joint construction. So I did think that when I was talking about it the other day, but didn't know for sure. And then a couple of people in the comments did say, yeah, that's the kind of internal mechanism, I guess, for the butterfly joints. See, Phoebe's there. She knows what's going on. Brian says, I'm late to the party. We'll have to catch the rerun later. Yes, you will, Brian. You absolutely will. Phoebe's mad that you missed that. So that's that. This is obviously proving that they are bendable. because you've got those little 3-dot kind of holes in. I guess that's to allow the flex to happen, isn't it? I've never
Well,
really
I
thought
think
about
that's
that.
also because aren't those used to support the metal structure in the middle?
Oh,
And then
that
it's
makes
whenever it's
sense.
injection, molded
So when
over
it's
it, then
molded
that pulls
around
out.
it, that hole, and then they break them
That's
off, and
holding it
those
to make sure that the metal
right.
stays in the center of the metal of the
That's
cooling
really
again.
cool to know. That's awesome. Okay, that's great. Brilliant. There you go then. That's that. So, but again, that again proves, doesn't it, that that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at bendable, moldable kind of little limbs, basically, which is really cool.
Yeah, really cool.
That's awesome.
And then you have the next image that shows off the face. I think.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
see the
This is
tiny little face in the
so.
creature.
This was the remold, wasn't it, for Pythona that they did? But it was based on the it was the same one that they used for Nemesis Immortal, the first Nemesis Immortal.
But kind of demonstrates that it does serve that purpose of it's also a weapon. And I guess if it was a creature that was trained by them, that maybe it could be used for their back, but also used as a weapon against G.I. Joe members.
Yeah, like I feel like it's almost like a too big version of the face hugger. I do want to see lots of different items in these Cobra La releases. I want to see like the little squidgy face hugger. I want to see the tapeworm clamshell. I want to see the puffer fish grenades. I want to see all of that stuff. I want to see all of that stuff kind of incorporated. The 4-headed electricity snake, which is kind of what it's kind of like the 4-headed electricity snake and the squidgy face hugger. If you were to have them mate, which I'm sure they do in Cobra La, that's what you come up with. This is what you get right here. You'd get a multiple limbed. In fact, I'm not going to say what the interior of the backpack looks like, but I think you can guess what I'm getting at, Pat, on that one.
We'll just go to the next image.
So here is obviously the original, the original figure that came in the 3-pack, and you can see there, it was like those items are meant for Nemesis Enforcer. But I did think at the time, that it was, and one of the theories was that it was for the set as a whole to use as a thing. It was almost like a 4th character from Cobra La almost. But yeah, like I totally understand the alternate backpack sort of situation. But yeah, very cool. Maybe it's to kind of army build again. Do you think they had that in their mind? Like you could get like multiples of these, and you could have different versions of Nemesis Immortal Enforcer.
I would love to hear the reason why, because obviously no character can actually be wearing 2 backpacks at the same time.
Or well, true, unless you wear one on your front. But yeah, that's totally. It's a front pack. It's a backpack and a front pack, so it doesn't count. Or a bum bag and a backpack doesn't count either. Yeah, you're right, man. You're right, totally.
Cool. So I don't know what. I really don't know what was happening there. And then the fact that we've seen the non-bendy globulous tail in catalogs and stuff like that, and that was so out there and available to see as a kid, that it did just kind of create some confusion to me about this set whenever I first was getting into it.
I always think the catalog globulous tail looks like one of those white dog poos that you get back in the day. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So it looks like Globulus is sitting on a white dog poo. Anyway, enough of that. These are the different. I mean, this is for when when I did the news burst on it. We were talking about the possible different like decos that you could get out of Nemesis Immortal going forward. I think the card art one is quite an interesting one. And I don't know, we could see a deco like this on some sort of Cobra La Citizen, could we not?
Yeah, that's true. He's going to be such a bulky character that I don't know if I want every Citizen being as muscular as Nemesis.
I was referring more so to the deco, but
deco,
in terms of the repaint for Nemesis Immortal, you're looking at like very minimal options, aren't you? I mean, the toy is slightly different to the Sunbow model, but not that much. And then the card art obviously is hugely different. I mean, you could get that repaint out of Nemesis Immortal with the green in there. Definitely.
With the green, yeah, I think so. I think that would be one worth doing.
But then I could see them doing Denizens of Cobra La at some point and having a similar deco scheme with the green in there just to kind of tie it all together a little bit. I think that would be kind of cool. Anyway, yeah. And okay, now moving on and continuing with classified updates, we have Hobby Base are shipping Beachhead, Eels, Jinx, and Norgahide. So won't be too long now because this is in Hong Kong. It usually isn't much longer following views on Hobby Base that we get them in the US as well. So I imagine those will start shipping eventually very soon. And I'm very excited about a lot of these. Now, we also have the retro figures went up for pre-order this week as well. Pat, we haven't really spoken much about the retro releases, have we? We can do that now quickly. So, of course, we'll talk. While we've got this image on screen, we'll talk Stalker first. Are you happy with what they've done here?
You know, I had been waiting. Like, I see all the topic about Stalker seems to be focused on his beret. I had actually been waiting on a Stalker that had this because we've had so many Stalker figures over the years, and none of them looked the way that his card art did, which was to have a camouflage beret.
Right.
Which I realize doesn't have the history in the military that maybe people are looking for, but it has the history in G.I. Joe by the fact that his card art has that.
Yeah.
And I can also see the frustration of wanting to be able to just buy this Stalker and not have to buy another one. So I do think that's an appropriate criticism. What you prefer. But
to talk to that criticism, that Stalker isn't very difficult to get hold of and is actually quite cheap as well, though. So
that is a good point.
Yeah,
it doesn't really cost that much. It would have been nice if Hasbro would have just included both in the package.
Yeah.
But you know, since that other Stalker exists, and as you said, it's quite cheap. To me, it does make sense to differentiate this one further by having it be a classic Stalker in some sense. And there are some choices that they're making that are not necessarily geared specifically to the cartoon or the original toy. When you're talking classic G.I. Joe, it could be the toy, the comic, the cartoon. It could be based in almost anything.
Right.
I do think that the retro series should probably target looking like the original toy as much as possible, though. So I could see that being a valid criticism from some people. But for me, again, when you change things up, you're going to alienate some people and other people will embrace it. For me, I like it because of the fact that I'd been hoping to finally get that. Now, of course, I'd rather have it in 4 inches, but
well, you might do at some point. I could see them doing. I could see them doing that for hire, unless we've already had Stalker.
That as the Stalker reissue for it to be different in that way from the original figure.
Yeah, I could see them doing this deco of Stalker because they have actually done.
Yeah, I got ripped off for the one Snake Eyes. That finally it didn't come through, and then like the order got canceled, and then I looked 2 months later, and after the order was canceled and it went through, I got billed anyway. So it's like you look at the order and it's like, oh, it's canceled. I'm good. Oh, but I was billed. Oh, and now it's too late to get the money back.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I'm not real happy with AliExpress. Not real happy at all.
That sucks.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go through Small Joe's or somewhere that I can.
Yeah, you can be sure that.
But it's frustrating that you can't now get Snake Eyes.
Honestly, that is the weirdest release of a action figure line I've ever heard of.
And they just keep on having reveals, but they're not shipping anything.
Right, we're closing in on 20 reveals of figures, and we've seen 2 figures. And well, some people have seen 2 figures. That's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah.
But no, I get what you're saying on that one, dude. What about the Cobra Troop? Well, what about the Cobra Commander? We'll talk about first because we'll segue into the Trooper.
Well, I think Cobra Commander was perfect. I did pre-order him because I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to get one. I love the fact that they vac metalized the mask.
Oh, that's such a surprise, wasn't it? It's really cool.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, just looking over the 4-inch stuff, we did pretty much get this already in 4 inches with the vac metal. In the Retaliation line, there was already kind of the perfect Cobra Commander. So in some ways, I don't know why I pre-ordered it. I feel like I already have it in the preferred way that I would like it. But he's so nice. It's such a classic look for him. They did a good job.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Yeah, really into that Cobra Commander. And again, like I have to say, I was getting a little bit frustrated with the hooded talk before this was when it was leaked and everyone was saying it's a hooded Cobra Commander, and I was kind of trying to temper expectations because we knew it wasn't, and we've known the longest time about this Cobra Commander figure in the retro lineup. I didn't know about the VAC metal. I knew that the logo was obviously different, and we didn't know about the gloves, but we knew that it was effectively a the Cobra Commander we had in the HASLab, but with a different logo, with the original logo, and nobody would listen to me. So that's what you get. It wasn't hooded, and everyone shut up and disappeared, and that was it at the end of the day. So Retro Trooper, let's talk about the Trooper now. What do you think about that one, bud?
A little disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really felt like this is the one where, I mean, people are complaining about Stalker not looking like his original toy. I thought that this one was one where there was an opportunity to make him look a little more like the original toy, and they just didn't take it.
Yeah.
Those shin guards don't really work as the original toy. The gauntlet, the arm guards don't work, and there's Stalker right next to him. Those arms would have been just fine. I think they could have changed things up. Maybe it's just an availability of tooling. What's busy doing what may have dictated how this figure looks. Cobra Trooper was my first G.I. Joe ever in 1982. So it kind of has a soft spot for it. So I really was disappointed to see some of the choices made on this figure, personally.
I do,
but I like the color.
I do wish that when they do the retro versions of figures, they go all out with them. And I feel like in some cases you can get away with it with like the eel, because the eel was really close. Like it was so close. Like there's not much you can do about that. It's fine.
Yeah.
And also I see that as an opportunity to get more eels when, we've sold out of another avenue of them. I get it. That makes sense. It's fine. I don't necessarily have to buy it, but at the same time, like I feel like that's an acceptable reason for a reissue, like in that sense, right? But the Snow Serpent, I felt was like all you had to do was do the retro weapons, and that's it. Like you do retro weapons and accessories, and that is everyone is happy. It's perfect. No notes. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and there was a little bit of like, there's a little bit of I don't know, of like a just like this'll do sort of feeling. And with the Trooper, I feel like the Trooper is the Snow Serpent of this set in a weird way. I feel like it's like one of those ones, not because of the accessories, but because they could have literally put the tooling into doing a new Trooper, because we've got Trooper Officer in so many different versions. We've got this already, really. We have this. Right. It's just like they gave him a different secondary. And it's like, I feel like it would have made more sense to do something fresh and new for this wave. And you've already got Stalker as a basic reuse and repaint. There's nothing to do with Stalker, so it's fine. Cobra Commander's effectively the same. You've already got the figure and the parts. Like you don't have to do anything crazy different. So all of the tooling dollars could have gone on the Trooper being the one that they really went to town with. So I have to agree with that a little bit. I do like, obviously we've got some in-hand shots as well, courtesy of Weibo. And I think it was Eric from Surveillance Port that posted this first. So shout out to them and Eric. And here is the Trooper. Now you can kind of see the blue is a little bit more vibrant on the figure. And if you look at the comparison with the others, I mean, it stands out pretty much from the others. But again, I think they could have been a bit more retro in here, definitely.
Well, I like the color, and whoever took a picture of this, great job, because I love the fact that we can see the X-Men back there for further comparison.
The blue comparisons, yeah.
And I think Mr. Cheeseburger just asked what I would do differently. You got the Cobra officer standing next to him. Those are the legs that I would have chosen for sure.
Yeah.
And then I probably would have wanted the arms changed out. I do like the fact that they included that accessory that you could change the rank and kind of make a squad leader if you want. I think that including that is fine because it comes off.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I really would have liked them to have hit a little closer. And we've talked about this before, but And I do wonder how much it frustrates the design team. Like, it would be nice if they knew going in, are we going to get a mainline release of this and a retro release of this character? Because if they know going in that they are going to have both, it would be nice to have those be a little bit further differentiated.
Right.
And so, like, you bring up the eel, yeah, it was pretty similar already, so it was fine to mostly use it on the retro card. But personally, if you knew that the eel was going to be coming out, it would be nice to try to find a way to make the two of them that much more different for that reason. So that
I mean, we have I think one of the things is as well is like they'll release something on the classified side of things, and then everyone just assumes, well, we're going to get a retro version in the future. But when the eel,
necessarily the case.
Yeah, when the eel came out, it felt like that's not necessary. We've got an eel and it's perfect. It's like does exactly what it says on the tin, no notes. And I feel like that was like, let's put it out in the retro card. And I guess like for those collecting retro cards, that's great. But someone posted, I think it was Adam, showed me a picture of all the retro cards that are out so far, and every card wave is ever so slightly different. It's like you've got that first lot of retro cards which were printed on toilet paper that was so thin. Then you had the HASLAB Cobra Commander, which has the white border, and then you come back to this one, which is again a new construction and completely different. You're just like, you can't even get that one. Get the packaging right first, and then just keep it. Because the retro, I mean, I don't understand why that was done the way it was done. I think maybe budgetary constrictions were the main issues with that. But like the card stock, just do it right the first time. Just get that card stock right the first time. Give it the border. Do everything that we want as fans for a retro carded release. And I would go as far as to say, put the vintage art on the bloody things. Like, it still stands up. It's not lying to us, unless the figure is completely different. So
it's not like you can't see the figure. And honestly, the original art is closer to these figures than the art on some of the classified series was to the figure that was in that box. Like,
totally.
It's Prophet Director Destro didn't look that way inside. You could see him. Or Cover Girl is a good example.
Right.
The design style of the toy is totally different than the art. These are closer to the vintage thing. Yeah, I think that they just need to go with the vintage art straight up and just put it on there.
Because that makes sense for me for retro. Like it's fine. Everyone's cool with it. No one's going to be suing you for misrepresentation of what this art and this figure look like. I think that's almost a little bit too far going the other direction, honestly, in my opinion. We got to that ridiculous point, didn't we, where they were putting the articulation points in the artwork on like figures like gun like people that were like exposed arms, and like Storm Shadow had his ab crunch in there, and Gung Ho had
his leg
knee articulation.
The knee articulation's on there.
What is going on? Anyway, so I think definitely there's still work to be done on that. It's one of the reasons why I'm not always totally jazzed about the retro carded releases. I'm not always like really into it unless there's something to, like Stalker, for example, I'm really excited about. Cobra Commander, it's all right. I mean, he got a Vac Metal face, great, but like the HASLAB ones, and the different logo, at least it's a box checker for me at most. Minimum is a box checker, I should say. Like, at most is a box checker. Like anything else is a bit of a bonus. And so Cobra Commander's cool. He's above on the average scale for me on what they're doing with the retro series. Stalker is way cool for me because it's so much different, and it's the card art, so it's like great. As for the Trooper, I'm like, I have so many of these Troopers at this current time. I'm only going to get one of these just to complete the set, as it were. But as far as like excitement goes, berries are not being buzzed. What is interesting though is that they sold out, as did Cobra Commander. So
he came available again in Cobra Commander. Last I looked, he was available again, and Cobra Commander was still sold out.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is the fact that it's like, people are still buying them and buy, truckloads of them. So it's all
Mr.
good.
Cheeseburger says, though, Classified needs a vintage line where everything is 6-inch and exactly like the cartoon. I think that that's the spot where these things should kind of be. Like, I think that if you're going to do a retro series, that it needs to be 95% familiar to what is retro now, you
Yeah.
know, and the new stuff. If you know, especially if you know that that's happening, I would say that you maybe 10% familiar on it. Just do something very, very new with these characters that could be awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would love to see some. I mean, like, you know, we have Super 7 for a lot of the kind of Sunbow influence stuff, but even so, I think people gravitate to classified because obviously it's, you know, it's cheaper, it's more regular in terms of its releases.
Yeah.
So like I feel like, you know, I would like them to do like the occasional you know, like an X-Men 97 sort of situation where we get like a line of the movie figures, which I'm still surprised hasn't been done in any capacity, really. We've had like the occasional figure come out. You know, we've had the Pythona come out standalone. We've
Yeah.
had Bigalob come out standalone. We've had, you know, certain figures like that, but never like a set where it's like the animated movie. I'm surprised we didn't get a DVD set for that. I know we got the Best of the 80s, which I think had the camera introed and it had Alpine, it had the camera from the intro and Cobra Commander in the claw, right?
Yeah.
That was the Best of the 80s though one, wasn't it? Was it the movie? I can't remember now.
No, it wasn't. No, they didn't include the movie. Those DVD packs didn't have didn't have the movie in it.
Yeah, so like I'm surprised we haven't seen, like, you know, like X-Men 97, for example. I use that as an example. A line of figures devoted to a movie situation. And the fact that we had an anniversary recently as well, it just seems really surprising that we right in the middle of a classified series of figures. It's just weird to me.
Well, yeah, but we're probably rounding up on another anniversary in a few years because what was it, 87? So if we add 2 years to now, because right now we're seeing a lot of stuff leaking for 2025. Maybe in another 2 years we'll be seeing a build up to some G.I. Joe the movie stuff.
That's so far away. It'll be quick.
Really
I know. Yeah, I know. I know years go fast now.
It is, but it isn't.
True.
It's not that far away.
Okay, well, let's move on because we've got lots to talk about still. I'll just run by I'll breeze through these. So we've got the Ferret Scout and Cobra Ferret ATV are shipping, guys. I got the information a couple of days ago, so I'm very excited about that. So yeah, I'm sure I know other people have been getting them as well if you ordered from Pulse. So very excited to get that one in hand. And Walmart CollectorCon have revealed their dates for the 25th to the 26th of July, which will basically coincide with SDCC. And on top of this, we don't know for sure what we're going to be seeing, but we do know of a Walmart exclusive set on the leaked listings, and that is Night Force, Falcon, and Heart Wrencher. So we may be seeing that 2-pack over this particular period of time, and that would be great if we do. If not, then I don't know, maybe we'll see something on the next CollectorCon, because let's face it, they have multiple CollectorCons. But I do expect to see something G.I. Joe related for this particular one, especially in this time period. Walmart would be crazy not to jump on the G.I. Joe period, which is June and July bandwagon. Yes. FC Viper says, I just got here. What's Pat hating today?
What? I hope I'm not known for that.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see what people say in the chat. That might have opened up a can of worms there, Pat, that we can't.
I'm hating shin guards and arm pads, maybe.
There you go. Today. Shin guards and arm pads. There you go. Shin pads and arm guards was what I meant to say, and I said the opposites. Okay, so that is the kind of the roundup of classified. We're gonna jump into the Dragonfly next, so let's get it on. Right, we will kind of breeze through this because I did do a very in-depth news burst about the unboxing very recently. But Pat, we can get some of your opinions on some of these things as well, which is great. So in the amazing unboxing video that was, again, quite a surprise to a lot of people, but they did say they were doing an unboxing. But they said on the previous event that it was the Stinger they were unboxing. And I think they made a mistake. I think they said, like, they meant to say Dragonfly, but they said Stinger instead. In any case, I was expecting a Stinger unboxing, But this came out, and I was like, wow, amazing. So BMAC and Lenny basically bust this bad boy open. Now, Oliver Barrett on art, who did the wonderful His Tank freeze as well on the His Tank box, has done a gorgeous freeze for the Dragonfly. What do you think of this, Pat?
Oh, it looks outstanding. Yeah, everything about this. Just as a spoiler, I like everything that they showed.
So, yeah, spoiler alert. Pat has ruined it. We can breeze through it even quicker now because we know he loves it all. No, this Oliver Barrett artwork. I love what he did with the His Tank. I love what he's done with the Dragonfly. And the more the merrier for Oliver, because I love his artwork. I love his kind of like, there's like a sketch kind of like vibe to it, like an almost, I wouldn't say unfinished. That's obviously not being fair to him. I love his artwork. It's amazing. But he's got this beautiful, like, it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but there's like the way he shades things and the way he kind of uses his brush basically is just phenomenal. Anyway, Dragonfly XH1 on the top of the box as well, with that kind of blueprints kind of vibe. So it's nice to get that logo nice and massive, isn't it, Pat?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're going to make new logos, give them. It's nice to be given them like on the package so that we can see them nice and close up.
Yeah, rather than like on a tampo on a 3 3/4 figure.
Exactly.
That you can't actually make out what's in there.
That I've gotten out magnifying glasses to look at later, and it's like, oh wow, that's really cool. I'd like to see that close up. But
quick side quest: what's the worst one of those examples? I would say Steel Brigade for me is one of the worst examples of that. Where
you're trying to figure out what it looks like.
Yeah, because they've got like a specific tempo that I don't think is replicated on the patches or anything, and there's something going on in there that I just can't work out for the life of me.
I think it's on the concept art for Steel Brigade. Actually,
I'll have to look at the concept art then in that case, because I need to look at that a lot closer. That was one for me though. I've always struggled with what was going on in that tempo, and I think what was the other one I had issues with? Was it Crankcase? One of them had something that was really hard to make out what was going on in there because it was very like they couldn't get real detailed in there, could they? But anyway, I'm going to check that concept art out now. We also got, so in the interior of the box, you have 3, I'm calling it the mobile command center because they're all different heights and they're all sandy colored. So you've got the Dragonfly in one box, obviously the one on the right hand side there. You have the stand in one of the other boxes, which is the Yeehaw Champion Wild Bill logo, which is amazing. And you have the figures in this box, a much smaller box with the G.I. Joe Star and Stripes logo. This is the box the Dragonfly and all the parts come in. So we have all the tampos and the stickers as well to have a look at, Pat, here, including a zombie Wild Bill. What do you think of that one?
I don't need that. I mean, it's a sticker. I'm sure it makes somebody happy, but I don't need that. Yeah,
I'm going with the default. Let's face it. It's that DF1 all day long, isn't it, basically?
Yeah.
And of course, we've got these as well. We've got some things to put on, lots of different stuff here. We've got the chips and salsa things, which they named the weapons systems, which is quite cute. We've got the teeth for the mouth as well. We've got what's that one? Is it Country Western Butch and Sundance? Nice, that's cute. So they're throwing in some like, cool. Throwing in some little Western vibes there, which is quite nice for Wild Bill. That's really cool too. And then of course we get the layers out. You've got the blast effects, the accessories, and then you've got the actual Dragonfly itself. What was interesting, if you can see there, Pat, on the box, there's like a little white clip on the landing skids. Can you see that little white clip? It's kind of like, it's basically to the up.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, that little white clip is like, it's like a long piece of plastic basically that clips between the landing skids, so that when in transit it doesn't, get bashed about and you don't have damaged landing skids and stuff. So I like the fact that they're putting these extra protective aspects into these, as well as sticking the cockpit down with tape as well, so that doesn't rattle around. So that's quite cool.
Yeah, the Sky Striker Kickstarter package was not great, so it's nice to see them spend some time to make this really good.
That is a shame.
Kickstarter, HasLab.
Yeah, but maybe it's like learning lessons in that sense, because I know the His Tank, when I got that out, that had a lot of like protection, basically. A lot of sturdiness and protection in it. This stand as well, which is really awesome. We've got it's quite a hefty base. That obviously it has to be, but I'm really impressed with how solid and massive that stand is. And then we get the actual helicopter out. Here you can see the stand to the right. I think that is a very sturdy looking thing. I'm excited to display this one. Are you going to get this out, or is it going to be too big on your shelves and stuff?
Oh yeah, it's going to be, that would be way too big to put on any of these shelves. But well, maybe it wouldn't be, but I'm probably not going to be really displaying this at all.
Then we've got the details on the machine gun, which is really cool. That little tab comes down. Oh, you can step on that. That's good. It's better than...
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think this is a good example of maybe why you do have designers rethink some things, because I never would have thought of just putting a hinge on there.
Yeah,
you just all the panels are remove them, but it totally makes sense for it to actually just have a hinge.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's so much better because you're not having like bits and pieces hanging around, laying about. Yeah, you open it and then you can have figures working on it or reloading it or whatever. Absolutely agree with that. Totally. Yeah, love this. Love the foot pegs on the skids as well, just for people that want to be crazy and stand outside. There it is in all its glory with the blast effects on the missile as well. And yeah, this, oh God, it looks gorgeous, doesn't it? I am so excited for this thing. I think the Dragonfly is one of the most, for me, one of the most iconic G.I. Joe vehicles, specifically G.I. Joe vehicles. I'm not talking Cobra here, because obviously Cobra have a lot of iconic stuff that probably iconics this, but there's something about this one that was, it's in the cartoon, it's in the comic, it's in all of the Action Force comics, weeklies and monthlies. It's like, it's really well known. Wild Bill's a really very well known character that kind of transcends G.I. Joe a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm into this a lot.
Yeah, it's good. I'm happy to see the progress, but yeah, this picture that you're now showing, this is part of where my excitement is. I'm looking forward to this Glenda.
What an amazing set of figures. Yeah, Glenda definitely is a standout for me. But again, more beautiful artwork from Oliver Barrett. Again, I love these. I love that Wild Bill one where he's poking his hat up with the other pistol. That is so good. Glenda, very, very synonymous, very similar to original artwork as well, that kind of similar kind of vibe and everything. So yeah, really excited for this. And Ripcord and Crazy Legs, man, we'll get to them in a second. But starting on, and also you get the Freeze kind of lined up with the figures as well on the other side, which is a nice touch too. Wild Bill to start us off with. Now we've seen the figure quite a bit. This was the one figure we had seen for the lineup, so this wasn't necessarily a massive surprise, but it looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, really good.
Here he is without hat or with hair, because he's got hair pieces as well that go in here. This is him with shades and hat with hair, I should say, because he also has a hat without hair for posing. He's got, and that little patch on his shoulder is really cool as well. That's the
Dragonfly.
Little Dragonfly patch. Love the details on the gloves as well. The cow heads on the kind of gauntlets of the gloves. There's loads of detail on that pistol holster and the pistol as well. Like, it's something that you don't really think about when you see it from a distance. You're just like, whatever. But then you get close up to this thing. There's loads of gorgeous detailing on it. It's amazing.
They've really done a nice job with him. Do you think that we'll get the Sunbow color, or the Sunbow colored one at retail?
I kind of want to say yes. I do want to, because I want to see it as well. I want to see that happen. And even and I know it would be a different design, but I think they should also do a single release of Wild Bill's Battle Core version. Different, obviously different mold and everything, different design and sculpt, but have that on a single figure, so you could then pop it in the Dragonfly if you wanted to. I think that'd be wicked.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because you wouldn't need another vehicle with him, would you?
No.
Then we've got Ripcord, which again is another absolute smashed out of the park figure here. The altimeter on the hand there on the wrist. You've got the Night Force patch on the left shoulder as well. The secondary is really solid too here, Pat. What I really like about this is that you got a lot of secondary with Ripcord, but it doesn't look ridiculous. And when you get the backpack on and all that kind of stuff, he just looks so good with all the gear on. Yeah, and here's the other Night Force kind of regiment patch on the right shoulder that we've seen on Big Ben, on Tunnel Rat, and maybe another one of them maybe has that. But yeah, we now have it on Ripcord as well, which is cool. And there's that little pouch that the mask plugs into as well, which is another good touch on that. Here he is, just standard. What do you think of the head sculpt? You into the head sculpt?
Yeah, it looks really good.
Nice hair. And then there's the patch being pointed out as well. Now we've got the helmet. This is where it gets really, really sexy. This helmet, that visor is movable, so it can go at the top of the helmet, it can go over the eyes. Brilliant. And that there's the mask as well with the hose that plugs into the pouch on the right hand side. The backpack. Now this was the interesting part. So during this part of the unboxing, they let slip the parachutes of war by saying that little peg is so that you can use other things with it, and then hinted heavily that parachutes are coming in the line. So that's really exciting. Obviously, we've got that Halo jumper that was leaked very recently with the action pilot, so it's likely that's going to have the parachute. Are you happy they're doing parachutes with this one, mate?
For sure. I want to see people posting videos of G.I. Joe's parachuting from high positions, like off the tops of buildings and stuff. That's one thing that I miss about JoeCon.
Oh, definitely.
Drop was always an event.
Definitely. Thanks to Peppermint Space Capsule now. A couple of quid for the Action Force shout out. Thank you, Peppermint Space Capsule now. Really appreciate the extra and the super chat. So have a great rest of your weekend. Oh, sorry, I actually clicked on Jody's then. A locust would be nice. So you're saying a locust. Yeah, Robert H is saying it too.
The other wild Bill,
locust with a repainted bill. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to.
That's
that was
small
an
vehicle. They could do that. That would totally make sense as a small one. It's not much bigger than a flight pod.
I'd want the locust to come with the inevitable G.I. Joe General, though, Pat.
Right.
The retail G.I. Joe General. No, I agree with you. I think that would be brilliant. Skyhawk or a locust or anything like that would be phenomenal. Yeah, brilliant. Sky Patrol confirmed, says Jedi Ben. Brilliant. And then you got the again straps on the backpack and the belt clip. Love that extra bit of kind of detail. And this is what I'm talking about, where he gets loaded up with all the gear, but it's not too much. It's not like, I don't know, I think it looks really good. I think he looks really substantial when he's got all the gear on. Then you can obviously put the blue goggles on. The helmet can go on the top, obviously, as well. And you can have the goggles exposed, or you can have it closed up. I think that looks phenomenal, that figure all geared up like that. It's just too good, mate.
Yeah, it looks really good. I love all the additional details that they've put on him.
And the backpack as well. Look at that. Just brilliant. Yeah, Ripcord is a win. And I can't wait for the regular Ripcord, which we will never inevitably get in the line at some point. And there he is with the visor up and the card back in the background. I do like the packaging as well. And I love the fact they've been putting the logos on there. And speaking of logos, Commandos Heroicos getting a big shout out on Glenda here, Pat. And I know you're dying to talk about this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Like this for me was one of the key pieces, because I could see her being released at retail. Realistically, I could. But I don't think that she'd be like the hot thing for tons of people, because it's not a familiar character in some ways. So to me, this is a good opportunity for a HasLab, because I don't want to see every HasLab just include the main version of characters and then leave out people who are only buying it at retail. So perfect figure for a HasLab. And they didn't just do the easy thing and recolor the retro Scarlet. They did a lot more here.
Absolutely.
And there's definitely a shout out to the pilot Scarlet in a lot of ways that was done, that was an homage to Glenda in the 25th anniversary. But the multiple hairstyles, there's two of them that I think are definite ones that I will be using.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick question from Eben here. He says, question for you guys. Do you think the Steel Core 2-pack will be the sub-team to the Dragonfly, or do you think it will be something completely different? I only asked because BMAX said something about that, and Lenny, I believe, talking about a team for the Dragonfly. There's a possibility that that's what it's for, Eben. I could see that definitely. Obviously, the Steel Core Commander that you're referring to was kind of leaked, revealed on a promo image for the Iron Grenadiers. And yeah, we're obviously going to get that at some point. I imagine a 2-pack would make sense. And I imagine a 2-pack of the male and the female Steel Core would make sense. And if it's part of the Dragonfly lineup, I don't know. I think that kind of, considering that they did plan on having a Steel Core commander in the tier lineup before they switched gears and threw Crazy Legs in there, I could see that being the case, actually.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't have made that connection. Good call.
Yeah, I think that is a really good call. I could see that being like Dragonfly, maybe in the similar packaging as well with the Dragonfly packaging. Yeah, definitely. Okay, that is now what I'm expecting, and that is what we should be getting. Amazing. Let's talk Blender. So she comes with this spare harness which fits all figures, including Roadblock, but will probably not fit, or they said won't fit, a couple of figures upcoming in the line, and obviously they're referring to Road Pig and Nemesis Immortal. For obvious reasons, they're much bigger figures. They're new, unique builds, and they will have different bodies. So those two particular figures won't fit the this harness. But who the hell was going to have those two hanging from the Dragonfly anyway, Pat? Were you planning on that?
No, definitely not.
So yeah, I don't think it makes much of a difference. Anyway, did Lenny talk about a team that would fight Night Force? I can't remember if he did or not. Can't remember. There is a good point there being made. I know a lot of people were saying maybe the Steel Core Commander repaints are Night Force. They're given a Night Force kind of like logo, and I was kind of like a little bit dismissive of it. But the fact that if it's going to be a Dragonfly team sort of thing, and you've obviously got Night Force, Ripcord, and Crazy Legs, doesn't sound like such a crazy idea now, really. So yeah, it could possibly be that if they are going to be paired with the Dragonfly, that particular 2-pack, then it could very well be that they're Night Force related, because not being Walmart exclusive on their listing, that would only be the Whip Snakes one that I'm referring to, by the way, if they are the Whip Snakes one, which we don't know. So Whip Snakes could be something completely different. We'll find out, I guess. Anyway, enough of that. Pat's favorite discussion topic is listings. So here is the actual figure. Again, brilliant. I love the secondary on this one with the neck piece. I love the hair is really cool. And then we've got the flash pieces. Now, Lenny did say, called out Grand Slam. And I think it was an error, because Grand Slam might be a figure that they're working on. That's what I gauged from it. Because obviously we're talking about Flash's backpack and Flash's rifle. So yeah, I think that was just a slip of the tongue. It could be completely innocent, but I think it might be connected to maybe they're doing Grand Slam as well. What would you think on that one, Pat?
I think they'll eventually get to the original 13, all of them. So maybe they're planning on doing Grand Slam next. So maybe that would be a reason for the slip of the tongue. Or maybe he just associates them and confuses them. Who knows?
It could be that. That's what I said. It could be innocent like that, or it could be something they're working on. Either way, I suppose we'll find out soon. Another hair piece for her. This is the third hair piece, and this obviously has the headset, and this is the one that we're both vibing on, isn't it?
Yeah, this to me will be the default one, because it looks like the card art.
See the face, got the headset. Yeah, like the card art. Brilliant. I totally agree with you. And here is Flash's laser rifle as well, connected to the backpack. I think she looks really good with this, actually. I think it actually fits the figure really well.
Yeah, it differentiates her quite a lot from Scarlet in a good way.
Definitely. And of course, the icing on the cake for me is the Commandos Heroicos logo on the helmet. This is a great touch, and I wasn't expecting that. And it's really, it's just a nice touch, isn't it, on there?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. So it's really nice to see that on there.
I think I'd have liked the start. That logo they've got on the box is really cool. I'd like to have seen them do that, but I'm totally down with this, and it kind of makes sense on the white background as well. And there she is with the helmet on. So brilliant. I do wonder, the fact they've gone all out with the Commandos Heroicos logo, that we are going to see more of those characters brought to life in the classified series, and that makes me very excited, because they like to do related sub-team releases, don't they?
Yeah. Hopefully we do see more of those.
Definitely. Okay, Crazy Legs next. And again, looks amazing. Doesn't come with a parachute backpack. He has a slightly different backpack on Crazy Legs, but again, really liking the secondaries on this one. It's not like too bunched up and too crazy. And I love the rigger hat which they've given him, which is not the same as Alpine's hat, which did come up a few times. This looks to be completely different. It's a different mold, different sculpt. Doesn't have the ridges on it, and has a different height of where that kind of black bit of deco goes to as well. So that's pretty cool. Also comes with the helmet and the goggles. 2 sets of goggles, one to go on his eyes and one to go on the helmet. And of course, here he is all geared up with his parachute pack, but it's not a parachute pack, it's just a regular pack. And again, looking pretty cool. And there is the whole lineup. What are your thoughts on Crazy Legs before we move on, mate?
I really like seeing him. It is a little weird to me that, I mean, I guess this goes back to the 3 3/4 ripcord that we already got. The fact that they made him so similar to Crazy Legs is, to me, not a great idea. I think that if they would have made that figure a little bit more using the blues and the browns of the original Night Force, that would have been a better choice to differentiate them a bit. But I'm glad that they didn't go and change Crazy Legs because of the fact that Night Force Ripcord kind of is taking his colors.
Yeah. I just want to. RKW says it's still a parachute. I'm aware of that. What I'm saying is it's not a parachute pack in the sense that Ripcords is. That can actually have a parachute. Yeah, it's not a functional parachute pack. It's still a parachute, but it is not functioning. Is what I was getting at. So
not that Ripcords works. Just that it probably will in the future.
It won't work now, and I hope he doesn't jump out of any planes yet, because that could be dangerous.
Right.
Could be really dangerous. Anyway, yeah, that's hilarious. I can't wait for the regular versions of both of those figures as well, I've got to admit. Phenomenal stuff. And there is everything together. That is the Dragonfly. I think, in general, I'm really stoked for this. Cannot wait for this to turn up, and I cannot wait for those figures as well. We're going to forego the listings because nothing's changed since then, and it isn't Pat's favorite thing to talk about.
And I gotta get going.
True. So we'll move on to shout outs and we'll bring it to a close. Let's do it.
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
Okay, speed round. Go for it, Pat.
Shout out to Philip. If you haven't seen our new episode of Articulated Points, I did one on Street Fighter. I don't think I've been on since I put that up, have we?
No, but I did have the image up last. I took it down because we had too many slides. But that I've been shouting that out every episode. I really to go check out, including the image of you celebrating with the rest of the Street Fighter cast. Amazing. Absolutely love that so much. I can't even tell you. It's a great episode. Go check it out. Shout out to Phil. Absolutely. It's Articulated Points, link in the description. Next up, shout out to Kate, and of course to my wonderful mum and dad who are visiting, and to Phoebes, of course, who are visiting at the moment. So obviously it's a little bit hectic and crazy, but they're enjoying themselves so far. We'll have to get them on an episode at some point just to say hi. But yeah, great having them around. Great having them here. It's been amazing.
Shout out to them. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, big shout out. They're here. Yay. Also to Brian Sauer for the amazing graphics. Also, big shout out to Assembly Required. More information to come about Assembly Required. We do know that it's happening on the 8th and 9th of November, but more information will be following very soon about that. Now, shout out to Will Moinio, who posted some really cool items, one of which is the storyboard for the Further Adventures, aka the Pyramid of Darkness, which then became the second series, I think, intro. So yeah, that's really cool. It's great to see these things, isn't it, Pat?
Yeah, it is nice. If you don't follow Will Minio on Facebook, you're missing out because he posts a lot of really great things. So I would definitely recommend going and checking that out because he worked on tons of cartoons and has been very generous with some of the things that he's posted. I really appreciate him doing that.
If I would say go on our Facebook page, because we share his stuff all the time, and you can find him through there. If you're struggling to spell the surname, which is all of the letters in the alphabet put into weird positions. So yeah, that's amazing stuff. Bry says, shout out to Chris for mentioning Extraction. Excellent action movie. I'll take Chris Hemsworth playing any Joe or Major Blood. I did mention that not too long ago, didn't I, Bry? And yeah, it's an amazing movie. And thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Ed says, the Street Fighter video was very cool. Love the deep dive into protos and pre-production stuff. So
Thank you.
Absolutely. It really is a good episode, mate. Cannot wait. Will we get a full Embarrassment Force episode with your parents telling embarrassing stories? I mean, yeah, probably. That actually sounds like a really good episode. Anyway, yeah, shout out to Will Munio for posting those. And, of course, his wonderful little Lady J piece as well on the right-hand side. Love that. That's really cool. Anyway, go check him out. Link on our socials. And Kelly Thompson has done an interview with the awesome Talking Joe guys. Link in the description. Go check out that. Kelly is the writer of the Scarlet series. And yeah, go check out. It's brilliant. And they're great. And thank you so much, Ed, for the super chat. Shout out to the Diagnostic family. Hope you all have a terrific visit. Happy Father's Day to all the cheese bags out there. Full force. Thank you, Ed. Very kind of you, mate. And happy Father's Day to everyone who's going to be, for everyone in the chat, for all your dads, and of course for all of those that are dads, because let's face it, this is the age group, isn't it? Thank you, Ed. Thank you to all the super chats. Pat, thank you, mate. Sorry it's gone on a bit too long. Stay fresh, cheese bags, and after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
Okay, we can go now. Bye.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well, @TheFullForce Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.